Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most OP Lae'zel build for patch 8 of Baldur's Gate 3. There were some big changes to the game, additions to the spell list, and things like Booming Blade which redefine the meta, and I'll be breaking down the best choices here for Lae'zel. So we're going to keep her as a fighter here, as obviously that's what she's suited to be best. And we're going to take great weapon fighting, so if you roll a 1 or 2 for damage die on a 2-handed melee attack, the damage is rerolled once. Early game defense can be nice for that increase to armor. Honestly, the +1 armor class is always a good choice, so you could go with that alternatively. And for our ability scores here, it really depends. If we want to focus more on like dexterity and be a more kind of stealth base, we could go with the 16 dexterity and 16 strength, or we can go 16 constitution, 16 strength like this. We do need a little bit of intelligence. However, there is an item that can help out with that if we want to use it with the Circle of Intelligence. But we can alternatively also boost up our armor class a bit if we want to wear medium armor and go with the armor of agility and be a bit more of a like a kind of all-in-one kind of character. So we could go with this or the 16 constitution there. Alternatively, we can use a constitution amulet and dump our constitution and put those points into our intelligence there. So that is another good option to go with. And we can go with something like that to have no negative saves. Level 2 gives us the ever-powerful action surge, so we get an extra action. You know how good that is. And in honor mode, it actually lets you do extra attacks, whereas haste doesn't. So into level 3 here, we get to choose our subclass, and we're going to go with the Eldritch Knight. Now, where this really shines is Booming Blade. This is a very powerful ability, so we're going to go with that. I also like to have Mage Hand or Minor Illusion for other cantrips. Mage Hand's nice because we can use it to throw healing potions or water bottles, you name it. And for the spells, I think that shield is going to be a very useful one to have because this can increase your armor class by 5, preventing you from getting hit. Magic Missile is a nice one, and so is Thunderwave. Just pushback or guaranteed damage on faraway targets can be good. Sometimes Magic Missile is the only spell that can actually hit a target. And for our extended spell list, Find Familiar can be a good one because you can give yourself a Raven, and that's just a nice way to help out with blinding targets. Grease is also a good one to have. And Longstrider for the increased movement speed. So I'm going to go with Longstrider there, as that fits very well on this class. But if you use someone else with Longstrider, you can obviously give that to them. At level 4, we get ourselves another spell choice, and I mean, Thunderwave is a good choice to go with. And for the feat, I would recommend going with an increase to either our strength or our dexterity. Now, if you really want to min-max this, strength potions are the way to go, so we could even just dump strength and go that way. For the best armor class, I'm going to go dexterity. Normally, if you don't want to use strength potions, put your strength up. I'm just going to give you 2 different options to go more tanky or go more into the offensive focus. And again, not everyone wants to use strength potions. Extra attack at level 5, you know how powerful that is. So that's great. Into level 6, we get ourselves another feat, which we can use to increase a stat. However, I think it's actually best to go with the Great Weapon Master. Now, this gives us a -5 to attack rolls, but +10 damage, which is huge. And if we can actually offset this -2 to our attack rolls, and I'll show you how to do that. There's a nice little multi-class we can do for a single level. We also get a free bonus action attack, but we also get bonus action attacks, as you'll see here, as the Eldritch Knight. So, yeah, we'll go with the Great Weapon Master, better damage. Into level 7, we get War Magic. After you cast a cantrip, Moving Blade counts, you can make a weapon attack using a bonus action. So you're going to see, this becomes really crazy. And for our spells here, Darkness can be nice if you have like the Eversight Ring or the Steel Watcher Helmet. So this can actually be extremely useful for just survivability's sake. Not a lot of these spells are ones you're going to want to use often because it's probably best for us to get in close and do a melee attack or use our Eldritch Bond to throw a weapon like Nirolna. However, I'm going to use the Githyanki Sword here as I find that works very well. From the expended spell list, you can see we got a lot of choices, but I think Misty Step is a solid choice. Hold Person's good, but we're not built fully around intelligence, so we're not going to have a great chance of landing that. Mirror Image is another good choice, and another really good choice, Shadow Blade. I've done a bunch of builds using Shadow Blade, so I'm not going to use it for this one just because I do get complaints whenever I use it. So we'll go with Misty Step because extra mobility, extremely useful. She does already have a Misty Step built in, but more Misty Step is never a bad thing. We do have a bonus action use, so it's not always ideal, but sometimes you need a Misty Step to hit a target. Alternatively, Mirror Image for that +9 armor class makes us extremely tanky as well, so if you don't want to use that Misty Step, Mirror Image is good too. And now we can boost up our dexterity or strength to its maximum. Again, I'm going to use strength potions to show the full power of this build. Level 9, Indomitable. If you fail a saving throw, re-roll that, go again. Level 10, we get the Eldritch Strike. When we hit a creature with a weapon attack, it has disadvantage on the saving throw against a spell you cast before the end of your next turn. This is nice for like Hold Person. And we get to choose another cantrip. I think that Firebolt's good for exploding things. But also mirror image is also kind of nice because you can use that to confuse enemies before you get into combat. And for our next level spell, Arcane Lock. It's kind of fun. We're not going to be using a lot of these. Even Gust of Wind can be a good choice. Shatter. You're going to not be using much outside of Booming Blade, Misty Step, Mirror Image. Level 11, extra attack. So we can do 3 attacks and then Booming Blade for a 4th attack. It's pretty crazy. And we get to take another spell here. I guess Chromatic Orb can be a good choice. If you got a Shadow Magic Sorcerer, you can hit them with it. Or you can hit their target with that. Now we could go for another feat and take like Savage Attacker. However, I think it's best to actually go ahead, add in the Paladin Oath of the Crown, because the Righteous Clarity will add our proficiency bonus to our attack rolls. It gives us a nice +4 to our attack rolls, so that offsets our Great Weapon Master quite a bit, and just makes us much easier to hit. Although you do have an oath that you have to be mindful of, you could break it. But then you also get advantage on saving throws against, or attack rolls against Fiends, Celestials, and Undead, and you get the Lay Hands charges. So, what this will look like. So I went with the Helm of Baldur in here, which can give us a +1 armor class and saving throws, heals us, and we can't be critically hit. Now, I did mention you can go with the Circlet of Intelligence, because this can give you your intelligence up to 17, so that'd be a +3 to intelligence. If you want to spellcast, we're not much of a spellcaster. Our spells, like Magic Missile, are guaranteed to hit anyway, so it's not something... We're mostly going to be using Booming Blade and our Weapon Bond here, so that's nice. The Weapon Bond being really nice because it returns the weapon to your hand. We aren't going to throw our sword, though. That doesn't really work out too well. Cloak of Protection, better armor class, same. Armor of Agility, however, this adds our full dexterity. That's why in this version I built around dexterity. And then we can just go with a strength potion. So we can go with boom, take one of these, pop it. Now we have 27 strength. So that's really powerful. We could have also put some of those points from strength into our intelligence. But this gives us the highest armor class, because if we were to use the other best armor, the Armor of Persistence, 23 armor class, Helldusk armor, 24, but with that Armor of Agility, 25. And this is without a shield, mind you, so that's pretty good. The Gauntlets of Surgeon Accuracy work well too, so that gives a 1d4 bonus to attack rolls for the rest of your turn after using Action Surge. So that can be a good choice to go with. If you want, you could even go with something like the Helldusk Gloves late game. Obviously, it's going to add additional fire damage to your attacks. Legacy of the Masters will give us a +2 to attack and damage rolls. Guarantee that we hit, which is kind of nice. We can get a +6 to our attack rolls, meaning that we're much more likely to land our attacks. Early game, you could go with the Gloves of Dexterity as an option. So you could go alternatively with that, or the Gloves of Missile Snaring to prevent your team from getting hit. Ability with something like that. Alternatively, the Disintegrating Nightwalkers, because that'll give us another Misty Step. Even though we have our Githyanki step, we can get 2 of them here. Or we could go with the Evasive Shoes. That puts our armor class up to 26. And then Ring of Protection, Killer Sweetheart, and the Amulet of Greater Health. Paired with the Hellrider Longbow for the +3 initiative, and we're going to use the Silver Sword of the Astral Plane, getting us additional 1d6 piercing. Our Psychic, because we are a Githyanki. And we also get advantage on Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma saving throws, which is huge, so we're much less likely to get hit with commands and hold person. And resistance to psychic damage, and it cannot be charmed. So that's pretty good damage. Now you can see here, Booming Blade can do upwards of a 57 damage on an attack, and we can attack 4 times per turn, so it's actually pretty powerful. So with getting into combat here, we got some pretty effective abilities like Booming Blade. We can also go ahead with applying our Righteous Clarity to ourselves if we don't have a great hit chance. We currently have a 95% hit chance, so we don't really need that. But we can start off with a Booming Blade here, so that's an attack, and then we can follow it up with taking out that target. We can follow it up with an attack, and then we can also follow that one up with an attack, and if that doesn't work, we can always follow it up with another attack. Another fun thing you can do is the Githyanki Mage Hand. What it can do is it can throw health potions, and those are pretty nice, so we can go boop and heal ourselves. So yeah, if you need a little extra health, our little Githyanki hand, we have 2 different mage hands, and they're nice just for that, a little healing effect. So we can also take our armor class up even higher by using Mirror Image here. So that is another nice thing, is we got defense like crazy here. So that puts our armor class up to 37, and that's without using a shield. So yeah, our next way to go about doing things, Booming Blade again, and she can hit really hard there, 38, 18, and 7. Pretty crazy. And then we can follow it up. The nice thing about this is we get so many extra attacks. It's pretty crazy. So boom, boom, boom. And then we got our extra attack. So that's 4 attacks per action. And then if you want to go crazy with an Action Surge, that's another 3 more attacks. So yeah, it's actually pretty powerful how strong that Lae'zel can get with this combination. So yeah. Now, the thing with Lae'zel is she's a frontliner, so we want to get her in and attacking as much as possible. It's always a nice thing to start off with the booming blade there, because you can see the damage potential on it is insane. So that was a pretty good hit there, and then finish them off and move on to the next targets. We used 2 attacks so far. Here's the 3rd attack, and we rolled a critical hit on it. Perfect. And here's the 4th attack, and yeah, we can roll a critical hit on it. And here's the 5th attack, going up on our 6th attack, critical hit. And then we can go for our 7th attack here, which should be our final one. And then we can go with our Eldritch, or our action surge for another attack. So yeah, pretty crazy. And then we can follow it up by going after a couple more targets and finishing them off. So we got just enough movement speed to be able to attack. Perfect. And there's one more critical hit, and hopefully to finish them off. Boom. Nice. So yeah, if we had another bonus action, we would have another attack, but that was more than enough. And if we had an Elixir of Bloodlust too, we would have had another one. Now, I should have mentioned, taking darkness means that we want to have like the Eversight ring, or go with the Steel Watcher helmet here, which prevents you from being blinded. Alternatively, you could go with the Sharp Spear of the Evening too, but darkness is nice because it gives you advantage on your attacks whenever targets can't see within it, and that's a nice boost to our overall survivability. But normally we can just go ahead with our good old-fashioned boom blade combo with the with our attacks there. So we got another attack. Yeah, the thing with fighters, as you know, is all the extra attacks. Haste will not give them those extra attacks in honor mode, so that's something to keep in mind. It just gives them that extra 1 attack. We unfortunately lost our haste there, and we don't have a bonus action to be able to attack, so that's unfortunate. Anytime it's our turn, we're always going to be using our booming blade here, because yeah, the damage potential on it's insane. We could also let them go, and if they move, they'll end up taking damage, so that can be kind of nice too. We got a critical miss there. That happens, and we can use the shield to keep ourselves safe, and then just follow up with another attack. We took out a target. We got a great weapon master extra attack. We don't get to use that too often just because of the booming blade here, which is only usable once per action. But we also have the soul breaker from the sword, so that's another really powerful attack which can stun targets, and when they're stunned you can just leave them alone and they just skip their turn. So, and you know what time it is, it's booming blade time. That should finish them off. Perfect. And then we can hunt down our last prey here to get them completely finished off. So yeah, that is a pretty powerful Eldritch Knight build. Really big buffs. Again, you couldn't take Shadow Blade if you wanted to, because Shadow Blade is extremely effective. The booming blade obviously being a big highlight of this. We could also go with our weapon bond here too if we wanted to go full in on throwing, and you could even use, what's nice is the Sharp Spear of the Evening can pair well with the darkness, so you can use that if you're on an evil playthrough. So Sharp Spear of the Evening there cannot be blinded, and it's a throw-in weapon which will return to your hand with a weapon bond. So that's another cool choice if you wanted to. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.